What did you think about the alternate reality approach to this film instead of a direct continuation?
That was a very interesting idea, and I feel like the viewers are going to appreciate the different angle, looking at paradox in a different way than just time. You know, alternate realities, yeah, it's time, but it's also a little bit space too.
I'm not really big on alternate realities, to be honest. But in the case of this movie, I think it's pretty cool because, we got to do like a different style to like make it more interesting. And I think this is actually a really good idea for this movie.
So I feel like they're going to appreciate that. It's not just going to be the same thing where Gary's trying to get out of here. You start focusing on different characters, and I like it. It's a new, fresh idea.
How surprised were you to hear that your character would be returning for the final film, and what were your initial thoughts about how that would work out?
Well, I was surprised to hear that Vex was making his return, because everyone who saw Paradox 2 knows that he met a untimely ending there, which was sad for me. I felt a good connection with him, but since you've already seen it, you know kind of the way the simulation works, so it's easy for him to come back in that way, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed playing him again.
What motivated you to give your character a reduced role in this film instead of the leading one, as the end of Paradox 2 implied you would have?
Well, there were a lot of things going into that. Some actors were not able to be in this movie. That was one of the biggest reasons why I changed. And also, I felt that Ted didn't need to be the main character, but actually, as it turned out, he was the main character all along. It just wasn't apparent until we got to the end. So in the end, I actually did keep it like that. It just wasn't apparent. I knew that I had to change the story to something very, very different from the last two. And initially, one of my earliest outlines in the story was that, Ted stays good, they fight some bad guys, and they escape and everyone's happy. But everyone does that. It's very predictable. So I thought this would be one route in a much bigger story arc.
What was it like to play two major characters, and what went into switching between the two?
It was very tiring. We're doing this video at the end of a long, 8-hour shoot, but it's a lot of fun. When you're doing something you love, you can put a lot of work into it and get tired and you're fine the next day and want to do it again. But it was really interesting because I had to try to really keep the two characters separate, which you think is easy because it's a villain and just like an innocent person, but it actually was kind of hard, especially with my accent. I know it wasn't perfect, but I was trying to do it as deep as I could. Thor was an inspiration. But just like the personalities are completely different. One is super calm, takes her time, not impulsive, seems to know a lot. And then Rachel, she's a little more impulsive, talks really fast, and gets easily angered, and definitely has a lot more swag, which is kind of more my personality, so I do like playing that. But it was really cool being a villain because I just love being a villain.
Has your character changed at all since the last film, and were you happy with the way that turned out?
Oh wow, yeah, he changed a lot because since this is an alternate reality, where we last left him off, he was, I guess you would call him good, but he had turned drastically from where we had started. But in this new alternate reality, he's right back to where we were in Paradox 1, totally, cold-hearted, definitely on Mel's side, and he pretty much stays like that for the entirety of the film.
Well, in Paradox 2, you kind of saw a dark, evil villain Vex, and he still is that way in this film, but you kind of do see him in a different light. He does have many moments where you don't really see him as the dark, evil Vex. He jokes around a little bit, and you see that he was just doing, what Mel said, so.
I think I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. Just like Vex, he's largely a supporting character in this movie. I figured, the first movie was for Ted, the second movie was for Vex, and I'll give this movie to Mel, so we all have our moments as our own villain.
What stands out about your new character compared to the one you played in the last film?
Well, the thing that stands out about my character this time is like the amount of emotion he expresses, because my voice has been mainly monotone in the last few movies because of like the more menacing characters that have deeper voices, but this time I'm playing a guy who has more of a interesting personality, like a developed type of character mindset. So this is really cool, actually, honestly, for me, and I think this is pretty interesting, playing a different type of character.
How has your continuing character, Rachel, changed since the last film, and are you happy with those changes?
Ooh, boy, Rachel's changed a lot, and I'm very happy because, I don't know, it's just harder for me to play a character that is just an average, normal person that's just trying to do good and help people and things like that. I don't know, it just doesn't come as naturally to me. It takes more work. So I like that Rachel is kind of more my personality. She's got the swag. She can stand on her own. She has good ideas, things like that. She wears black, so I was very happy with her development, but I just hope that the viewers can see that, can read between the lines and see what happens between both movies to see that Rachel had to get a little bit tougher with all the stuff going on.
What did you think of the ending of the film and series?
Well, each movie, especially the second one, kind of had interesting endings, especially the second one. It kind of led you to believe everything was not what it seemed. And this one particularly had an ending like that. I think everyone was shocked by that ending, especially when he comes out and you realize it was all this test run for the simulation technology.
I think that it's a pretty cool ending, and it mirrors kind of Infinity War in a sense. I like how it goes to the real world. It's kind of reminds me of a movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's a really cool ending, honestly, and I think it's going to leave the audience like on a real cliffhanger. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be really awesome for everybody this time.
What made you give the film the ending that it has?
Well, as I kind of touched upon in the earlier question, I really wanted it to be different. And a lot of movies, they'll end on a happy note. Maybe some people wouldn't feel too good when a movie ends on a different note, but I just thought this is something that no one can expect. I think that's really important when making a film, is to write something that people don't like, oh, he's going to do this, she's going to do that. This is very different. And the good thing is that with simulations, we can always do more if we want to, but I still think it was very final for the characters that we had.
Do you think Paradox has a market for more films? And if so, should the story be continued somehow, or is a strong reboot in order?
I don't know about a sequel. I feel like we've pretty much exhausted, well, maybe not all our options, but I feel like the viewers might be ready for something different from JRP. It's been a good run, but I feel like this should be the end of it. It ends on a good note. If y'all haven't seen it, go see it. I won't spoil it, but it ends on a really finite, that's it, this is the end. Good note. Well, it's not a great note, but it's a good note to conclude the three movies. But I do see us having an offshoot, particularly on Vex, which I myself would be really interested in seeing, so we'll see.
Well, I think honestly we can do some prequels to Paradox, whereas like the same way they did with Star Wars a few years ago. So like, basically we can make movies about what happened before the first one. And so I think that'll be really beneficial for the franchise. And I think there's many things to be explored about like everything that's going to be happening. I know Vex is a very interesting character and he's very cunning. And so I do actually agree that that could be a good movie, and we can see like how he develops and how he becomes that smart and all. So yeah, I think that would actually be a good idea too.
There's definitely a possibility for more movies. However, they would need to be some sort of offshoot movie, like something Rogue One-esque, where it's still the storyline, the universe, but it's not following like the same movies. Like this is a trilogy, that's the entire story for this movie all laid out, and you don't really want to push that too hard and milk it.
Well, as Justin mentioned earlier, I'm thinking probably along those same lines. I highly doubt, in fact, I'll pretty much say it's impossible that we would continue the story from where we are, because everything that happened, Vex is gone, Rachel is gone, Gary's gone, even Mel is gone. It's only Ted. So anything from here on out would be a reboot. Any characters that we would meet would be entirely new. So at this point, whether we labeled it a reboot or not, the only character that would continue is Ted. So I can pretty much safely say we do that. And it's also a possibility that the only way we'd go into this universe again is if, as Justin said, do a Rogue One thing where maybe we focus on one character and kind of go metaphorically back in time in that sense.
What are your final thoughts about your experience filming and how the entire series turned out?
My final thought is it was a long run, but a good one. A lot of calories burned, bonding moments, I suppose, funny moments, moments you're trying to get yourself all raged up and angry, a lot of moments of, snacking and things like that. But, it's all good. It's all fun. I think all three movies turned out really well for me. The first one I wasn't in, and I think that was probably good because if I was in it too much, people would get tired of me. By the second movie, you introduced me as a new character, and people are wondering, I wonder who this Rachel person is. She seems kind of mad. I get to smack one of the actors, which is kind of fun for me. He was fine. And then by the third one, she seems like the main character, and then you find out she's not really the main character. So I think I really enjoyed it, and it was great, acting with all the new actors and all the old, veteran actors, and of course Jonathan, our veteran director. So yeah, it was really cool in this place. I'm gonna miss it, but it was a good run.
I think the movies have turned out really good so far. I haven't really had much of a presence in the last few movies, This movie is going to be the biggest one for me, honestly, and I'm really surprised at when I found out how I'm going to portray my specific character, and it's pretty cool how, all the pieces fit together and how he reacts to things and how he talks to people, and I think that's really awesome. So yeah, I think this movie is going to be a pretty cool success for everybody.
Well, starting from Paradox 1, looking at it, you kind of see improvements across the board. Each movie gets better and better. The dialogue, the storyline, the set locations, the quality, and all that. And this one definitely has the most improvement of all. It's the most interesting, I think. It has a lot of twists that we haven't seen yet. And it was a whole lot of fun to work on.
Oh, I was really, really happy with it. I really liked how the first movie was a mystery, the second movie was an action thriller, and this one was a strong drama. I was really happy with the maturity of the characters. And as I mentioned, one of the main reasons the movie turned out the way it did was because one of our actors dropped out. But actually, I think that really turned out for the better. I only considered this alternate reality because I needed to do something drastic to continue without that actor. And I think that's the fresh look that the film needed. Many films, when they get to the third one, it's kind of like, it's a rehash, pretty much the same thing happens over and over. But I think this was something very new, very exciting, and probably still will keep audiences wanting for more, which may happen.
So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all three Paradoxes. Look forward to Jonathan's new productions coming out, the new things he's gonna have for you guys, new videos, surprises, new actors, things like that. So stay tuned, and I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in our next video.
Alright guys, well that's all for today, but I'm so stoked to what we have in store for you guys in the future. So stay tuned for JRP. Peace, guys.
Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Vex.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this documentary. We have so much more on the way. I'll see you soon.
If you had to choose one, would you choose burrito or taco?
Well, I'm vegan, so I don't really know what a taco would really do, like what would be in it, but I probably would pick a burrito because you can have a BR. You can have a bean and rice burrito. Are you zooming up on my face?